Hey there. So this isn't an astrology forecast. No, but I do know that lots of people who follow this channel like a bit of natural health and healing. And I'm also aware, because I get to hear lots of stories from people and I see people's comments, underneath my videos. I know lots of people have had mysterious illnesses that they haven't been able to heal from. I know lots of people who follow this channel also have maybe autoimmune disorders, long COVID and things like that. And so I know that this might be of interest. And so what happened recently, I posted a video where I was talking about a health device that I'd been testing, and I was really sharing my personal experience of it and what I thought of it. And unfortunately, I got a strike from YouTube for going against their community guidelines. And so what I wanted to do, because I got lots of questions from people sent me emails saying, where did that video go? I noticed you'd posted one and it's gone. I was wanting to look at it later, and I also posted it to Rumble, and that obviously stayed up because Rumble don't do any kind of censorship that I'm aware of. So I've had loads of different inquiries from my YouTube community and some people on Rumble. And so what I wanted to do was just answer your questions to the best of my ability in this short video and tell you a bit more about what it was that I tested. I realized that, there's a lot of information that people are looking for. This is quite a technical product. And it is one that where you would, if you were to use it, you would need to take the lead and investigate it yourself. Right off the bat, I need you to know I am not a doctor. I've had no medical training, and I absolutely haven't been trained in any kind of natural health or healing either. However, if you are like me and are actively exploring different alternatives to health, possibly because the things you've already explored via the usual means haven't been fruitful for you, then you might find this useful. As ever, it's important that you take control of your own experience and you do your own research. And so really all this video is me talking about this device, showing you a few things that I think might be relevant. And then I'm encouraging you with links, and you'll see the links in the description field below with the links so you can finish your research and make your decisions. So I just hope it's really interesting for you and helpful if this is, if you have these lingering questions that you want me to answer. So that's my little caveat out the way. Here are some of the things that came up. Obviously I received quite a few emails. I don't want to put them there because I've got people's real names on there. But for instance, Jack 1897 on Rumble said, thanks, Louise, for this. Very interested in health and healing through frequency. I should say it is a frequency product. I've also considered buying a Spooky2. Interesting to hear about your journey. KJ 1111. Nice number. Thank you, Louisa. Fascinating. Interesting how I'm being led back to where I started with my quantum coaching and healing, but this time looking more at technology and equipment to partner with my intuitive healing and awareness of quantum realm. For my own healing this time, please do share more of your experiences and how you actually use it. That came up a lot. Very interested. Thanks again. Janine, the eternal wannabe. Janine, you're brilliant. I love your comments because there's a couple here. Dear Louisa, please tell us also where this device is shipped from when you buy it. I recall I once bought an expensive gift from the US and the customs was over 100% of the price. I too have suffered from that. Bought a tiny thing from the UK last year and nearly the same thing happened. So even if we'd love to test these things, they might prove unaffordable to us EU-based folks. Well, I don't know where you are, Janine. However, I am in Portugal and I received one of these devices. It came in from China. This is where the company is based. And I didn't have to pay any additional customs fee, which I have needed to pay when I've received things from America and also the UK. Ouch. I'm not ordering stuff from those countries again. But this didn't happen. So it was really, really straightforward. but you'll see what came and what arrived later. What a nut. I love that name. I watched the video and it doesn't talk about how to use it. So again, I need to show how to use it. I'd love to get on board if there's better information. The website isn't very informative on this, other than the point to pricing different versions of the machine in its history. You know what? I think there's so much information on that website that it's not always that easy to see where it is. I didn't find it necessarily, I had to dig down and go back and come forward and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to show you, Wadana, is some links that you can go to and some other resources that I've found useful, and hopefully they'll be useful to you too. Janine also added, I watched the whole thing now. Thank you for all your efforts, Louisa. I find this new stuff fascinating. But I have to say this video didn't manage to explain the whole tech. So again, this is the thing that you're all wanting, is to know more about the tech. Doc has no doubt reason to be frustrated by the long rants, but I didn't find them very informative. Your experience of the detox process is interesting and no doubt also good to know too. But I still have no clue as to what we're talking about. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't understand how you went about your 11 days of detox, though inserting a bit of fingernail to the device and then just sitting and feeling. Okay, I will explain all just shortly. So look forward to perhaps getting more information. Okay, so what I've broken that down to is, what is Spooky2 or Rife technology? Then I'm going to show you my unpackaging of the Spooky2 when I got my spooky kit, so you can see what kind of condition it was in when it was received. That's, I think, quite useful. Then I'll talk about the terrain protocol that I went on, which was an 11-day healing event, and I had some problems with it because I have had very sensitive health issues in the past. So I will talk all about that. How does remote healing work? So, how does it work? Because I wasn't actually attached to this machine, and yet there was some healing going on behalf of me. So I will talk about that. I'll also talk about what I learnt and my results, and also give you some links to useful resources and learning. Now, one of the things I was thinking about was, I could show you what I saw on my computer, on my laptop, and how I did it. I've chosen not to do that purely because I'm not an expert, and I don't want to think I've got the right answer and communicate that out to you only to find out I'm giving you the wrong answer. There are lots and lots of really brilliant videos done by Spooky2, and what you need to know is how to find those videos, and they will talk you through the process. I've watched these videos myself. I found them very useful, but so I'm going to point you in the right direction, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll have so much more idea about what this does, how it works, and if it might vibe with you, it might be helpful in your healing journey. I don't know. And on that, I just want to be really, really clear. When I first agreed to test this, I was just delighted because I'd wanted one for well over 10 years. I was just thrilled. Really thrilled. When I first started looking into it, it was really expensive, and I'd never come across Spooky2 before. And I had really small children, and so money, I needed to really be careful how I spent my money. So when I was asked to test this and sort of given the product for free, I was delighted. And all they asked is if I liked the product, would I do a video about it and interview one of their doctors? And that, I thought, was what was happening. Actually, what came across as well is they've given me a discount code where you can get a 5% discount on anything you buy from them. And again, I didn't ask for this, and I'm not sharing this video for that very reason. But if you were to buy using that discount code, it benefits you and it gives me a little bit of commission. But I swear to God, I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm literally just answering the questions that have come in, and genuinely from a place of somebody who has been ill in the past. And I've had doctors scratching their heads and saying, it's all in your mind, it's all made up, this isn't real. And then I've been parts of medical trials. I was part of a medicinal mushroom trial back in Wareham Hospital in the early 2000s. So I've had my own experiences, and I know the frustration when you're not well and people don't believe you, or the medical establishment don't believe you, or what happens is there's this big sort of big fat zero kind of, no, it's impossible, there's nothing we can do, and I also understand the frustration of, where do you find information from, so I may not know you personally, but I'm sharing just my personal journey. And if you are, if you subscribe to my channel, you may well, have trusted me. It might be helpful to just get my take on things. So that's the only reason I'm sharing it. If I can help you as somebody who has recovered from ill health before, that would make my day, just to know that, I'm helping people get a little bit clearer. If, that's where it's coming from, truly. So anyway, let's, I'm just going around in circles now. So let me tell you a little bit about this technology. I'm not going to call it its name anymore because it's a bit of a sensitive word on YouTube. Years ago, I've got another channel where I used to interview healers. About 5 years ago, I interviewed a homeopath who mentioned this technology and linked it into how it might bring spontaneous healing of particular diseases. And it got deleted. So I'm not going to mention this anymore, just in case I make one of those slip ups. I don't want to cause any problems. I don't want this to come down. I'd like this to be here to help you if possible. So what is Spooky2 and this particular technology? So if you actually type this in, again, I'm not going to say it, but what is this word? What is this machine? Loads and loads of answers will come up. And according to where they come from, there are some places that will say, it's a device that's been invented, but there's no credible scientific evidence to prove it works. There's lots of sites that will say that, like this one and this one. This one here also says the same. I don't know if you can see that. However, there are also lots of other sites that will talk about it and talk about it in terms of it being helpful. So if you just put that into your search engine anyway, loads of information will come up. Now, the person that invented these machines was a scientist. That's his name. So an amazing name with the 3 R's. It's interesting because the letter R has a 9 vibration, if I'm not mistaken. So with his 3 initials, that's like 999. But anyway, which is kind of funny, given that it could help you in, with your medical health. But anyway, this person was an American inventor. Sorry, I'm just reading this because this is from Wiki. You can find similar pieces written about this person all across the internet. Was an American inventor, an early exponent of high magnification time-lapse micrography. There you go. That's it. Micrography. There we go. I got there in the end. He's known for his microscopes, which he claimed could observe live microorganisms with a magnification considered impossible for his time, and for an oscillating beam ray invention, which he thought could treat various ailments by, now this is the crux of it, he treats various ailments by devitalizing disease organisms using radio waves. Although he came to collaborate with scientists, doctors, and inventors of the epoch, and his findings were published in newspapers and scientific journals like the Smithsonian, the Smithsonian Institute in 1944, they were later rejected by the AMA and the American Cancer Society in mainstream science. The supporters continue to claim that impulses of electromagnetic frequencies can disable particular cells and other microorganisms responsible for these kinds of diseases. And this is the thing that comes up a lot. Most of these claims have no scientific research to back them up, and these machines are not approved for treatment by any health regulator. However, there are lots and lots of people around the world who use these and will talk of the personal experiences and results that they have achieved. It has said that promoters have been convicted of health fraud and sent to prison. I'm not sure about the current state of that, but the person that I interviewed, and that interview was taken down. He has worked with this company for a really, really long time. And he works with many clients continuously. And if you want to see his interview, if you go to Rumble, the link will be below. There are lots and lots of other people who talk about this technology as being useful. So, I am aware that there is a tendency that if something that hasn't been accepted by the AMA or other organizations, that it's kind of ridiculed or put down. There are different versions of events. There are different things that are called scientifically improved and others that don't. And I wonder if it's, why that is. And I'm sure if you are watching this, you have some suspicions as to why that might be. But again, this is your choice. I'm just sharing just what's on Wiki about the inventor. Now, this actually comes from this particular website here. That's a really famous charity in the UK doing lots and lots of research, but this is the information they've put out. So one of these machines, so it was developed by, he developed this particular machine in the 1920s. He's an American scientist. The machine is also called a frequency generator. So this machine and other types of similar machines produce low energy waves. These waves are also called radio frequency electromagnetic fields. I think of them as like frequency. So that's what I'll be calling them hereafter. And they have a low energy compared to X-rays and radiotherapy, which has on high energy. The use of low energy waves as a treatment is less common, but there is some research on it. So it says that his supporters say that the medical conditions have an electromagnetic frequency. So every condition you have in your body has a particular frequency, and that these treatments work by finding the frequency of the condition, and then sending an impulse of the same frequency is then used to kill or disable the diseased cells. So it's interesting because there's lots of different types of frequency medicine. One of the things that I have used over the years and found to be really, really helpful is homeopathy, and so that is, every one of those medicines has a particular kind of frequency or a vibration. And so, I think with homeopathy, one of the premises is like works with like, so you're treating yourself with something that might cause those symptoms and they kind of cancel each other out. I think that's how it goes. I'm not a homeopath either, but I do have, a family homeopathic doctor that I've had for over a decade. And FYI, we don't go to the, we haven't been to the doctors for years and years and years. So I do find that quite helpful. So what this machine does is it finds the frequency of the thing that you're wanting to treat, and then it sends an impulse of that same frequency to disable that particular cell or bacteria or virus or whatever it is that you're wanting to work on. So that is coming from this website here, which, like I said, is a very, very well-known website, a very, very well-known charity in the UK. They will absolutely make sure that they're talking, like that what they've put here will be correct. I'm pretty sure of that. So the technology we're talking about is using frequencies to work with the organisms within the body, to work with the body. And so the next part of the question is, what is a Spooky2 machine? Well, it's a machine that is made by the company Spooky2. So you go to Spooky2, like literally spooky and the number 2.com, and it will often, I think, reroute you to like several different pages according to what it is you're looking for. I know they've got a more specific Spooky2 scalar part of their site, and they've got one for starter kits as well. So anyway, the Spooky2 machines, they're all made by Spooky2. And when I first heard about this technology all those years ago, what I heard was there would be like this machine, like a generator. This is one of the generators. This is another generator. These are other generators. And these are scalar This is a different kind of technology, but again, using frequencies. So you have the generator, and then you might have something to hold that is connected to the generator. And then you might be getting a pulse through some handles, or you might have like a TENS pad to put on your wrist, or you might wear gloves that are connected to the generator, or socks that are connected through one of these outlets here to the generator, and they will be giving you these frequencies directly onto your skin. It's called contact. So it's like the technology is contacting your skin. And that's how I heard about it. And of course, with those, you would have a treatment of maybe, I don't know how long it is, but a certain period of time holding these handles or having contact with the frequencies directly. And then you might have to have those like 2 or 3 times a week or every day for an hour or something like that. But, my original idea was that you would be connected to the machine. And so it doesn't necessarily give you very much freedom. When I was invited to test it out, at first I was thinking, how am I going to fit that in with my daily routine? Like running around after, kids, a cat, dogs, husband, like how could I make that work with being like a housewife who works from home? I thought that was going to be a little bit tricky. But then I found out about the changes that have since occurred. So now there are like the remote kits, and this is very similar. Actually, this is the kit that I got. I did have a few extra accessories, but I got a generator, one of these things called a booster that sits on the generator, and then I got this little thing here, and I will show you a bit of video later of me using this so you can see how it looks. But that's a remote kit that you put some of your DNA in, and it's connected up to this booster, and it's connected up to this generator, and then this generator is connected up to a laptop, and the frequencies are transmitted right the way through to this part here where your DNA is, and then you can do what you like during the day. You don't have to sit by the machine. It literally is working on a bit of your DNA, which sounds incredible and ridiculous. Like, how could that possibly work? And I'll maybe share a little bit later. Obviously, I'm not a quantum physicist or anything like that, but I'll share some information that other people have put out about that. And I'll also tell you about my experience as well and why I think this has worked from my experience. So that's one of their machines, but they've got lots of different types of technology now. So they're not just doing these machines, but they're also now selling machines that are working with scalar frequency and also plasma. So they sell all sorts of machines to do with frequency that may well help you in terms of your health. And you can still buy TENS pads, gloves, socks, and the handles. They've also got like a cold laser. They've got a biofeedback. They've got all sorts of different things. In fact, when I look at their website, I'm just kind of in my head imagining my dream setup. I suspect at some point I'm going to buy every one of their different things because I really like the product so far, and I've only been using it for 2 months. So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. I'm so excited. I've wanted one of these machines for probably over 10 years, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I've just been asked to test one out. So it's just arrived in the mail today, shipped over from...
That knife big enough?
Yeah, ooh, yeah. I'm not doing a very good job here. I don't want to damage it, but...
Slice along the horizontals.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Oh no. Okay. You might need this machine to help you heal after this.
Okay. Yes, I'm left-handed, just in case you didn't know. Some might say cat-handed. That's what I grew up with.
Okay, I think I'll take the knife now.
No, I've got it. All right, let's see what we've got. Oh wow, these are the silver socks, because I asked for silver socks and gloves so that I can have these treatments. The Spooky2 machine. I've got large hands, so these are the large ones. Oh wow. So this is the Spooky remote. And I'm going to have to do a lot of learning. Gosh, it's like Christmas, isn't it? What have we got here? Wow. This packaging's good. So these are all the TENS machines packages. I'm going to need to really get their manuals out and work out how to use this. I love these kinds of challenges. Excellent. A spooky boost. Cool. It's all beautifully packaged. Let's have a look. I'm guessing this is the main event. This is the unit. Do you know what it is yet? I cannot believe I've got one of these finally. Oh, I'm so excited. Spooky2. Woohoo! Oh, and here's a use guide.
Well, that's useful.
Yeah, fantastic. Spiritual healing. Wow, this is really nicely put together. Thoughtfully put together. Some might say happiness and true freedom. Do you know what? I love these things, you know, like health products. You know, when they look at health from the perspective of freedom and happiness and spirituality. Looks like I've got some reading to do. Let me just share this about the remote healing work. So I took this from a website by a company called Soundwaves coming out of South Africa. But I really liked the description because I couldn't find a better description anywhere. I was hoping to be able to quote, a medical experiment. I've heard of these experiments happening, but I just couldn't find any evidence of it on the internet. But I know there are these sort of anecdotal people talk about these experiments, but I just don't have the name of those experiments so I could share it with you. So anyway, how is it possible that me putting a bit of my fingernail in this remote machine could create a change in my body? That's the big question. Well, it says, modern physics calls this quantum entanglement. This merely means the following. If any part of a single organism is removed from that organism to a different location, any action performed on that part will also be performed instantaneously on its source and vice versa. So, for example, your nails are part of a single organism, you. So the frequencies transmitted to your nails are instantly transmitted to you and only you, wherever you are in the world, because of the unique identifier present in every cell of your body, your DNA. So we could use a few strands of your hair or even blood, but nails are the most convenient medium, and that's what I used. I just cut one of my little nails and put it in there. And it says, how exactly does the remote mode work? It says, your DNA consists of two strands coiled around each other to form a double helix. This acts as an antenna capable of transmitting and receiving encoded information. During a scan or treatment, our frequency generator transmits to the designated frequencies, not only to your DNA sample, but also instantly to the source of that DNA, you. Sounds really cool, doesn't it? I mean, when I first realized that was possible, or was invited to test if that was possible or experience whether that felt like it was possible, I was just thinking of a multitude of different situations of how that could work for me. My mind just went into overdrive. So it's a bit like, if like another way of thinking about it is if you're calling somebody on a cell phone, you send the message out, but only that person who has got that number that corresponds to where you sent it to gets that message. So it's a bit like, you're doing the treatment on your fingernail and it comes to you because it's your fingernail. You have that cell phone number or that DNA, so that's how I equate it. So this is the actual kit that I've got. It's called the Spooky2 generator remote kit. It's the cheapest kit. It's like I say cheapest, and I don't mean to downplay its power. My experience of it is that it's really powerful. I experienced some massive changes, which is why I'm, talking about it. So there's the generator. This is the Spooky Boost that connects onto the side here. This remote unit clips into here. These are very secure. As you put them in, they really lock into each other. And then you get the cables. So there's a power cable that goes in the side here. And then there's also a connection cable that goes in the side of this unit and then into the side of your laptop or your computer. So it's a really good kit. Like I said, I've got a few extra bits, but here's what Spooky2 say about this. This kit contains everything you need to set up and run a remote mode. That's the remote healing, like the healing through your DNA. So it's an energy balancer and can deliver energy balancing frequencies to you at a distance using your DNA sample. So let's have a look at what this Spooky2 machine is all about. This is my little private space. I'm going to pass this over to my son now so he can hold it, because I don't have a ton of tripods and stuff. So let's see what this is all about. So obviously you've seen my unpackaging, and I've got quite a few different things, and it's important that you set your Spooky2 up in a quiet area of your house somewhere. Now, I have small children and I also have a cat that comes in. This isn't actually the ideal place because your computer's going to be on a lot. So it's good to have a spare laptop that you don't need, and this is surplus to requirements. I've got the Spooky2 technology on the computer already because I've been using this. And so I used the guidebook, like it showed me all the different sort of things that I would be receiving. It tells me how to put in the software on a step-by-step basis, and also how to connect everything up. Now, this is the picture of the remote, the generator and a laptop and all the cables, and I've done the same. So this is my generator here. It's got what's known as the Spooky Boost, and then it's also got this is called the Spooky Remote. Now, the remote is where you put your DNA. So this is a couple of stickers with my fingernail in. And, there's a lot of space to put in others. So, for instance, when my Spooky machine came, it came with a whole load of stickers. So I can create a sticker pack for my 2 sons, my daughter, my husband. I can even do it for our 2 dogs and our cats. So, based on what treatment we're going to give them, I would just make a new sticker pack. So whatever goes in here is going to get the same treatment. So that's connected up to the boost. It's connected up to the generator. I've just put this book underneath because they don't all sit flush to the table. And I don't want to put stress on it. So but then they get all connected together. So I'm connecting this in to my computer. Now, one of the things it does say is you need to keep your computer on the whole time. So you want to disable, like your screensaver. You also want to disable automatic updates because, you don't want to be in the middle of a program and for it to just all of a sudden stop. And then I've got the power that's coming into the Spooky2. So I'm just plugging that in now. And it brings the generator on, and then you load the Spooky technology, and it might take a moment or two. Now, I'm not an expert at this, and you'll see, look, it's searching for generators. It's found one already, and it's loading all the frequencies onto my computer. And that will take a short while. And so what I did was I was following the instructions from the Spooky2 guide to do the original detox, which is called a terrain. And so it describes how you do that. So like I said, you set it up, you put your DNA, into the remote. It's got pictures describing this. There's so many videos online as well explaining this. Don't just watch mine, actually watch some proper ones from the Spooky2 channel. But then it shows you how to use the software. So one of the things that that Janine, the eternal wannabe, asked me about was the terrain protocol. So when you first get your kit, you're encouraged to do an 11-day detox process called the terrain. And the terrain protocol is a series of preset programs that are running in your body, running frequencies to resolve certain problems. And the whole idea of it is to clear you out. And I think the premise is that before you do any kind of treatment, let's get your body as clear and as clean as possible, because then you're going to get the best results. So, a lot of people that might be using this might, really need to do some very, very deep healing and cleansing. And in fact, if you look at my Rumble interview with Dr. Bill, he talks about why the terrain protocol is so important. So that's where I started. Now, what I didn't check out, and this is where you might benefit from me going there before you do. They have a few different terrain protocols. So they've got some terrain protocols for people who are very, very sensitive. They've got terrain protocols for people that have got mercury fillings. They've got terrain protocols. They've got a standard one. And they've got different ways of doing the terrain protocol. I didn't take the time to look this up, and because of that, I went for the standard terrain protocol. And basically, I would put my nail in the remote DNA sort of device, and then I would load the program up on my computer and go through all of these. And so removing heavy metals was the first program that came on. So you see on your computer screen that it's working on heavy metals. You'll see a whole list of frequencies that are being fired at your DNA. It's not fired at you because you're doing whatever you want to do, but it's being fired at your fingernail or your eyelash or your hair over and over again in these little groups. Like these little cycles, and so many cycles take place. And some of these go on for 24 hours, some of these go on for 12 hours. When you finished removing heavy metals, then it automatically moves on to removing chemical materials. And then, that will go on for 12 or 24 hours. I don't know exactly. You'll see it on your computer screen and you can check through it yourself. And then it goes on to systemic toxins, intestinal toxins. There's parasites and liver function work going on. Then they look at your kidney function to give that a really good clean out a couple of times. They also cleanse your blood. They look at liver toxins and kidney, intestinal parasites. So there's a couple of parasitical actions. It's good that they give you a bit of space between. And then finally, it goes on to the lymphatic system, giving that a good clear out. Now, if you're sensitive, and I think if you've had lots of issues in the past. So for instance, I'll talk about my own experience because that's the only thing I can talk about with any certainty. I was diagnosed with glandular fever as a young teen. I then didn't recover from it. And, when I apparently should have recovered, there was nothing wrong with me at all. And yet I couldn't get out of bed. I had no energy. And so eventually and begrudgingly, after months of being told that I was making it up by my doctor, told to my school that, it was all in my head, told to my parents it was all in my head and that I should just kind of get out of bed. There was nothing I could do. I had chronic fatigue syndrome is what they then called it eventually. I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia, or ME is another word for this kind of series of symptoms. And I suffered from that for a really, really long time. There was one stage in my illness where I was bedbound for 13 months. It was a really debilitating time, and very confusing and depressing. And I'm sure if you've gone through something like that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, it just so happens that over the years, I made lots of changes in my life, and recovered from this. I stopped using all sorts of things. I won't list them here because I don't want to cause a big stink on YouTube. I don't want to go against any of its guidelines, but there were some very important steps that I took that helped me to manage everything to the point where I could actually, have children. I've had 3 children, and lead quite a normal life. But I was always aware that I never recovered my full sort of vitality. And that was why I was interested in using Spooky2. I think once you get ill like that, thereafter, you're always a little bit scared that it could happen again. And so, yeah, I've always been on the lookout for things that could help manage these symptoms if ever they came up again. And so because that had happened quite a long time ago, and I've been quite well for the last decade, it didn't occur to me that I might have needed to do a softer terrain. And so I went through it. When I got to this point here with the intestinal toxins, it just felt like I went into this kind of very big response. Now, if you've ever done a anti-candida diet, or a mold, or any kind of diet to eliminate some of these awful symptoms that you might have been suffering, you've probably had a Herx reaction, where there's a die-off and you can't clear everything in your body quick enough. And I think that is exactly what happened to me, because, around day 5, I had a big Herx reaction. Funnily enough, and if I'd been on my ball, on my game, I would have done some research and found out that Spooky2 actually do also have Herx treatments. So I could have actually used the Herx vibrations to heal myself and to make things go smoothly for me. But I had a big reaction. I was sweating for a good 8 days. All I wanted to eat and drink was juice, like fresh juice, loads of beet juice, ginger juice, turmeric juice, loads of apples, and just lots of water and rest. So I did have a bit of, it did go a bit wonky for me. Now, when I recovered from that, I think my husband said, "Wow, I don't suppose you're going to do the rest of that, are you?" But the thing is, like, he was looking at those symptoms where I'd kind of collapsed and thought, well, that was so terrible. Obviously, that's the end of the line with this treatment. But there were so many good things that had already happened that I was going to give it a go again. And so actually, what I did was, once I'd had a good couple of weeks of feeling stabilized again, and I was feeling much better than I was before I actually started, I then continued. I continued the terrain detox by doing one of these programs at a time, which you can do. And I didn't realize this, but you can go into your unit, select the preset, it's called, that you're looking for. And so it might have been, they've all got numbers next to them on the computer screen. So I selected, say, preset 9, hit enter, and it went straight to it. And then I did that, and then I paused. And then I did another one, and then I paused after it. And by pause, I mean, I did 1 or 2 days of clear time with no machine. And then I moved on to the next one. And I got all the way through the terrain protocol, and then went through again. So I've actually done it a couple of times. Now, the second time I went through it, I didn't get any reactions whatsoever, but I felt really good. Now, for like one of the people I was talking to recently, like a friend, said, "Well, how do you know it actually works?" Well, there are certain things that I noted about my experience that really said to me it was working. And I guess like one of the obvious ones to me was that during the night, I suddenly woke up and I knew something was different. And when I went to, when I got out of bed and walked over to the machine, I saw that it had turned itself off. And I think my cat had maybe walked over the machine and just kind of like reset it or paused it or something like that. That's another top tip I would give, is you need to put it somewhere where a cat isn't going to crawl over it, sleep on it, or whatever, you know. So I knew, it was like my body knew that something wasn't happening. You know, there was a change, and I was really, really aware of it. Now, the other thing is, like, if I bring this back up, when I went from one program to another, because it unless you are consciously doing one program, it will automatically go on to the next. It's like an 11-day program. So I would have a sensation in my body, and they were never weird or uncomfortable. But for instance, around the first one, when that it was working on heavy metals, I had a metallic taste in my mouth. I had little tingles around my teeth. I had tingles around the tops of my arms, around the intestinal time. Before I knew that I'd moved into the intestinal toxin removal, I started to feel like this, almost like fingers going like this over my intestines. I just felt a sensation, and then I went to the machine and seen that it had moved on from the previous program. So as I've been going through these programs, I've noticed changes, but I've noticed them and then checked on the machine, and then I've seen it. So it is like you're working together. I am highly sensitive, so I do pick up on things like this, and I'm guessing that if this is something that you're wanting to work on, then you will also feel like that. I'm quite sure of it. Now, with the terrain as well, there is this link, and I'm putting it down below. It's got a Q&A about the terrain protocol and all these things I've discussed. If you click on this link, you'll get the sort of sense of what I've already shared and more, and also a whole cascade of other links to videos. And then underneath all of these posts, people have also put in their own little testimonials or their own comments. So I hope that helps you, Janine, the Eternal Wannabe, to understand a little bit about the 11 days of detox. I literally inserted a bit of my fingernail, like you said, into the device. And then I wasn't just sitting and feeling, I was just getting on with my life. You know, I did probably sleep a little bit more. I went to bed a little bit earlier. I got up earlier, but it was really, really easy. Now, it's interesting. You did say no need to cut out stuff or cut off stuff. You know, often when people are doing a detox, they're not, like they're not eating certain things, and they're doing certain things at certain times. They might be cleaning their body in a particular way and taking supplements and stuff. You know, I've got tons and tons of supplements for all sorts of different things, from all sorts of failed detox endeavors. I've got loads of it, as I'm sure you might have as well. The only thing that really happened, I didn't put anything on myself. Spooky2 just say drink lots of water, because obviously you're flushing out your body of anything that gets worked on. You know, anything that your body no longer needs, it goes. And so that's the advice is to just have lots of water. But as I was going through this, I naturally wanted to start juicing. And that has continued with me. I've juiced pretty much every day ever since, with all the things I've already mentioned, but the beetroots and ginger and turmeric just really feels good to me. Just loads and loads of juicing. But I've also cut out sugar and gluten and wheat products, which again are really helpful. But previously, when I've cut those out, I've had massive reactions. But I've cut them out for a good couple of weeks now, and I've had no reactions at all. So something about doing this terrain and doing it properly, obviously not rushing into it too soon like I did. When I did it paced out, that was the thing that created the changes. And this kind of new lifestyle is coming up for me now, where I feel much more in control of what's coming in my body and what's coming out of my body. so I feel so much more connected to it. And that's the big thing that I really noticed, is I feel clearer. From the first treatment, which is about the metals, I woke up the following day early. I felt refreshed, and I felt like like something had been dropped, almost like I had an overlay of something. I think, we pick up these energies, don't we? And I felt like I'd had this kind of almost defeatist overlay, or a sort of victim overlay. Like there was, maybe it's, like when your body feels under attack from things that it can't do anything about, maybe you don't feel very strong. And so I realized that over a long period of time, I hadn't felt very strong or vital in myself. Sure, I could live and I could make a living and run a family and stuff, but I was always worried about getting to a tipping point where I couldn't cope anymore. And so after the first treatment, what I noticed was I felt like I had my coping skills back, like my fear of not being strong enough had changed. I felt a lot more in control, and I've also felt a lot more sensitive. So where when I'm working with astrology and working with clients, I often see little almost like video replay in my mind of different things, or I get words in my head, or a song, or a sensation in my body, and I'll ask them, is this something, I'm feeling this in this part of my body, does this relate to you, do you know what I'm talking about? And my instincts, my sort of psychic awareness has increased massively since this. So to me, I feel like I've been, maybe whatever was going on in my body, that this terrain protocol appears from my experience to have opened up. I feel like maybe I've been kind of herded inside a little box, like I've been restrained in some way. And now I feel like whatever was restraining me is leaving or has left. And I feel so much stronger in my body. Now, one of the things I've become more aware of is that I want to do a lot more healing of my intestines and around that area. And that can take many months to recover, especially according to Dr. Bill. And like I said, you can listen to us talking on my Rumble chat with him. I'm probably going to be speaking to him in the new year as well. So, I'm going to be doing lots of other things, going forwards with this to continue the healing work that I've done. But I already feel different. And that's what I really wanted to share, that they are my long-term results, really, just from like the 2 months. It doesn't feel long-term, but from the 2 months I've been working with Spooky2, I feel more confident. I feel like I'm back in charge of my body, rather than feeling almost, a bit like a victim to it. So it's really helped to reset me from that perspective in terms of how I feel and think. So maybe my beliefs are changing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Spooky2 don't say that is, the standard response. I think mostly they're talking about, are you getting physical relief from symptoms? But for me, yeah, I've really got an emotional, spiritual feeling around that. So I hope that's helpful. Let's see. I think there's a couple more questions that I was going to answer. So how can I learn more about Spooky? If you go to spooky2.com, and it will take you most likely to spooky2-mall.com. And I'll put this link below in the description. Spooky2 Learning Center. It's got a hyphen in between two and learning and center, but they've got a whole learning center, and at this learning center there's links to the YouTube channel. Obviously you can just go to YouTube and type in Spooky2 and then sign up for them, but in the learning center they have these like conferences, or not conferences, but these live learning Zoom calls very, very regularly. And they get different experts and doctors that have been working with frequency medicine, lots and lots of different people that are using this technology, and they will be on a Zoom call, And you can sign up for different ones, like they have them at different levels according to the different things that you might be buying. So one of the community, the Feel Good Astrology community, wrote to me and said, did you know they are doing these seminars? This is one I've signed up for. So, this one is for the central generator and a plasma generator, but they have lots of beginners workshops that you can sign up for. There's also a Facebook group that is excellent. I can't show you it here because it's a private group, and obviously it's got everyone's names on it, and so obviously I don't want to do it. But this particular Facebook group is amazing, and so it's got thousands of people who are part of this group from all over the world. There's lots of different subject headings where there's lots of information that people have shared. It really is a learning hub. You have to answer a couple of questions to be accepted as part of this Facebook group. But when I was experiencing a couple of ups and downs, on my terrain journey, again, it was my own fault because I didn't take the time to learn what it was about or watch any videos. I was kind of rushing through things in the kind of way that I might do. I put my question in, it got approved by the administrator, and then within 20 minutes or so, I had answers from about 5, 6, 7 people. People are absolutely really happy to help in any way they can. There's a whole wealth of information on YouTube, not just from the Spooky2 YouTube channel, but there's loads of other people that have put, they've done videos from their own experiences. But this Facebook group is really, really special. So there's so much there. I really think it can seem a bit overwhelming because obviously when you get your kit, and this is just a small kit, it looks like there's a lot going on there. And yes, it might look complicated, but there's, there's just so much learning out there to guide you through this whole process. And from my perspective, it's worth the wait. Now, what I haven't mentioned is what else can you do beyond this terrain protocol? And, what I really like about this in particular is the fact that there are thousands of frequencies all working for particular parasites or organisms or bacteria. So for instance, if you've got a particular bacteria, a particular strain of, I don't know, E. coli or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I've looked through their programs on my computer because you upload your software to your laptop, and you can go through these frequencies. You could be looking through these frequencies. 20 minutes could easily go because you'll be looking and going, oh, I really want that. I really want that. There's just so much to it. They've also got bark flower remedies. The frequencies of those uploaded, so you could choose to have a bark flower remedy frequency to get the benefits of that particular frequency. So there's so much. As you go onto the Spooky2 website, there's a pop-up box that comes up and it will give you a list of Rife frequencies that you can download. It's a PDF, really, really useful. I recommend you do that, and then you'll be connected to Spooky2 and they'll send you a little bit of information along the way. But there are hundreds, I think thousands, I don't know if there's hundreds of thousands, but there's so many different frequencies, that you can use to work. Now, one of the things that I would like to have in my next kit is the biofeedback. So they've got this amazing technology that can scan you and look at the particular it can work on your DNA, and it can scan your DNA and put lots of little frequencies towards your DNA to see which frequencies are kind of jarring with your DNA or interacting with your DNA. It looks through all the frequencies. It's kind of going through the catalogue and saying, yes, this one is an important one. Nope. Yes, that's important. And then at the end of it, it will give you a little, it will give you the information of the frequencies you need. So there is this amazing technology that will literally be working at showing you which frequencies you need to work with and which you don't, which is fantastic. And there's also this other thing, which I haven't done yet, but I will do, and in a future video, because I'm sure, like, as I go through this whole process, I think there's going to be some really big changes. I will talk about this, but you can set up your own folder. And so, you might look through the list of frequencies and say, okay, I want one of those, a bit like you're going to the Chinese restaurant or your favorite takeaway. And you look down the menu and you'll say, one of those, one of those, one of those. Okay, that's my standard menu. And you can set it up as a program. And you could run that program as often and for as long as you like. And the machine will run those frequencies one after another, cycle them so that you're working on those things. So it's almost like you're designing your own perfect healthcare plan. I mean, the possibilities, as far as I can see, are really endless. And like I said, I'm right at the start of my journey. And yeah, I think it's very, very powerful. So there you go. That's my full thoughts. I hope this has been useful. I hope it's answered everything you needed. And yeah, lots and lots of love to you on your healing journey.